Morning students. Today I am going to introduce a new subject called tax laws. So before studying in depth about tax laws, we will see some introduction relating to tax. So first is the definition of tax. Tax is a compulsory contribution from the person to the state to defray the expenses incurred in the common interest of all without reference to the special benefit conferred. Taxனாலே என்னது நம்மளை பொறுத்தளவில் நம்ம கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு கட்டணும். So you may be knowing the meaning, general meaning of the term tax, but according to Income Tax Act there is a definition. So it's a compulsory contribution. It is to be paid to the state for incurring certain public expenditure. So you cannot ask for a proportionate benefit from the government in return. From the definition, we can list out some characteristic features. First one is it is compulsory. So whether I am interested or not, I have to pay for it. It is paid for public purpose. So there may be, for example, you and me may be incurring so many expenditure. It is private expenditure. Government is incurring certain type of expenditure which results in a benefit for all the citizens of the country, all the citizens of the state. So such expenditure you call it as public expenditure. This money is used only for public purpose. It's a personal obligation. For example, I may be working as a professor of a college, means what is the salary I am receiving? For that I have to pay the tax. I cannot shift the burden upon anybody else. So it's personal in nature. Fourth feature is absence of quid pro quo, which means you cannot demand an equal return for the money which you have paid as tax. For example, I may be paying 50,000 as tax to the government. Another person may be paying 1 lakh rupees. So how much the individuals are paying, to that extent you cannot ask for a proportionate return. For example, if I am purchasing private expenditure, I am purchasing TV for 50,000 rupees, whereas another TV for 1 lakh, means it may have some added features. So what is the benefit or the satisfaction which you receive depends proportionately on the money paid. So that is possible in case of private expenditure. It may be physical satisfaction or psychological satisfaction. It is not possible in case of tax. So it requires sacrifice on the part of the taxpayer. Then next one is it is levied according to the rules and regulations. For example, if you take income tax, it is according to Income Tax Act 1961. Last one is it is for the purpose of revenue only. So government is collecting this tax to raise the revenue of the state so as to meet the public expenditure and not for any other motive. So we have seen the definition and some 7 basic characteristic features of tax. Next I will be introducing the types of tax. There are 2 types of taxes, direct tax and indirect tax. What do you mean by that? What is the difference between these 2 taxes? We are going to see elaborately. So what is direct tax? So any tax we call it as direct provided certain features. For example, taxpayer and bearer is the same or one and the same person. So it is possible in case of direct tax. For example, what are all the incomes which comes under the category? Under income tax, there are 5 heads of income. Income from salary, income from house property, income from business or profession, capital gains and other sources. So if you look into these type of tax, you cannot shift the burden upon somebody else, whereas it is possible in case of indirect tax or commodity taxation. For example, take GST, or for a manufacturer of TV, for the TV which he had manufactured and which he is supplying, he will be paying GST. So though he is paying GST, he will shift the burden upon the consumer. Understood? So here you see the person who pays the tax and the person who actually bears that burden is different person. Whereas in case of direct taxes, it is one and the same. For example, I am getting salary income means I have to pay the tax. I cannot shift the burden upon anybody else. So that is the first point of difference. Second point of difference, the impact and incidence lies in the same place. So I have to pay the tax. So the person and the place is one and the same. Here it is different points. The manufacturer may be paying GST in one place, one part of the country, whereas he shift the burden upon the consumer who is in a different place. So the impact and incidence lies on different points. So the basic feature of direct taxes, the burden cannot be shifted. Though I want to shift it, it is not practically possible. In case of indirect tax, it is possible. Fourth point of difference is the intention of the basic legislation or the rules or the laws of direct tax is such that the burden cannot be shifted. Here, if you look into the provisions of GST, it itself says clearly that the burden can be shifted. Understood? For example, if you study GST, he will get input tax credit. So whereby the burden can be shifted. Then income tax is a good example of direct tax. GST is a good example of indirect tax. Just now we have seen what are the types of taxes, what are the features of direct tax and indirect tax, or what is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax. So on the whole, I have introduced you to the definition of tax, characteristic features, what are the types of tax, what are the features and difference between direct tax and indirect tax. Thank you, students.